So Victor is a new cyber infrastructure for volcanology that the name stands for Volcanology Infrastructure for Computational Tools and Resources. What it is basically a cloud-based platform where volcanologists can find, use, and integrate numerical models and other computational tools. It's been funded by the U.S. National Science Foundations and NASA. And when we say volcanologist, we mean a very broad range. It can be undergraduate students, graduate students, researchers in academia, staff at observatories, people studying volcano risk in insurance companies or the government. So very, very broadly. The motivation for it came from this report that came out in 2017 from the National Academy of Sciences, where it really lined out the needs of the community to access state-of-the-art models, to have a communal cyber infrastructure, and community facilities that would improve accessibility and user-friendliness of tools that are more and more efficient. So in the past decade, there was another effort called VHub, you might be familiar with, that was successful in collecting a lot of different tools on a central website and platform. However, the usage of VHub went up and then it declined as the technology became old and obsolete, and the support and training were reduced. So we said, okay, it's a new decade, it's a new time, there's so much changes in the technology, let's come up with something new. With the goal is really to make it easier to run models and tools, and through that to broaden model literacy so people understand models even if they not run them themselves. And down the line to reduce volcanic hazard by making models and tools more accessible to anyone who needs them. The team includes myself, Sam and Sophia at Lamont Doherty at Columbia University, and our co-investigators, Sylvain Charbonnet and Chuck Connor at the University of South Florida, and Abani Patra at Tufts. We have an advisory committee. This is the committee that worked with us for the first 3 years of the project, representing different countries, different institutions. And now we have a new advisory committee that has just joined us a couple of months ago, and guiding us in choices, both on technology and content and community outreach. The central piece of Victor is a hub portal that is based on the Jupyter Hub technology that contains a model library, and they're wrapped around in workflows in the form of Jupyter notebooks that can be either tool specific or integrate multiple tools into one workflow. There's also tools like for visualizations or compilers, as well as a variety of tools to access external data resources. On our website, victorproject.org, you'll also find information about events such as workshops and demonstration sessions, information about our partners, as well as important links for things like signing up to the platform, documentation on Read the Docs, and our education channel on YouTube. Victor is parallel to a few other efforts in geosciences that use cloud-based platforms such as CSDMS for surface dynamics, SCORE for seismology, and others. At its core, the hub is basically a cloud-based machine that is running with Linux, Ubuntu, and it's fully featured with compilers and other packages. A lot of the Python packages are required for the tools that volcanologists need. And it's hosted on Amazon Cloud AWS instances. The user, when they log in, this is the screen that they will see, that just a link. You can either go directly for this address or through our main page. Then they would be asked to choose a machine. So it depends on what kind of models they want to run. They can choose a range of memories and CPU capacity. And then you'll see the screen that is called the launcher, where you on the left see the folders with files and a way to launch a virtual desktop that is graphical, as well as a command line terminal. So I wanted to first have everybody try to log in now if you've registered for the platform. Diego, Jared, Freddie, have you all registered?
Yes, I am already logged.
Okay, great. So because it takes sometimes a few minutes for the platform to load, then it's best if we try to log in now, then I'll finish the presentation. Sophia will give a presentation and then you'll be ready to use it yourselves. Jad, if you haven't signed up, we can give you kind of a temporary login.
Okay, thank you.
Sophia, can you put the info in the chat? Awesome. Betty, are you there? Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So, like I said, the workflows on Victor are based on Jupyter notebooks, and this is what a basic notebook would look like. For example, this one is to run a lava flow models called IMAX. So a notebook looks like this. At the beginning, there's usually an importing of the different packages that are required, and then setting up of input parameters, and then running the code. And then at the end, there's usually a visualization step. For example, here we're plotting the temperature and the thickness of the lava flow that was modeled. For the graphical user interface tools, or if you want to do visualization, there is a virtual desktop. For example, here I was able to open QGIS to visualize, to get a Google Earth background and then visualize the model result. And I did all of that without having to download anything to my own computer. So everything was on the cloud through a browser, and I could just even if I wanted, I couldn't run this from my iPhone or my tablet or anything like that. So it helps students that don't always have access to a computer. We have a variety of tools already available on Victor. This is already out of date because we keep adding more tools, but there's variety of tools for lava flows, PDCs, ASH, Jeffra, gas, Lahars, and a lot of tools now for gas and volatile evolution, as well as petrological tools. The documentation is all available through Read the Docs, so it's easily accessible. You can find information about usage as well as different individual models. I'll skip this to let Sophia talk about it more, but we've have both content to teach in universities or classrooms, as well as we run our own dedicated workshops, for example, at conferences, or those devoted specifically to people who develop models and want to host them on Victor. The good value of having all these models on one platform is that now it's much more easy to compare and run models against each other or against known results. Like this one, we have a workflow that runs 4 different lava flow models and compares them. We also are working with a team at NASA to add more capabilities to look at surface deformation and surface disturbance. For example, to map, in this case, we have a workflow that we select a region in Iceland and then we identify the evolution of lava flow on Reykjanes. Now that we have both remote sensing and models in the same place, we have workflows that compare the two and really make it much more easier to assess different models and make them better. There's a lot of different tools that are being built. For example, mechanisms for inverting field data to eruption parameters, like in tephra deposits, to get plume heights and plume mass, and get also the uncertainty of these inversions. So this is really just a kind of a general overview, and of course, we'll be happy to answer questions. And we can take a second now to answer questions and also see if people have been able to log into the platform.
I have no questions.
Cool. All right, so I'll stop sharing and let Sophia take over.
All right. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm just going to take a moment to talk specifically about the resources for educators available on our website and on the platform. So first, I'll just give an overview of the types of content we have available. So starting with shorter tool-specific tutorials, these might come in the form of, sorry, one second. Okay, shorter step-by-step procedural guides. That's kind of like a lab manual almost. And then we also have some YouTube tutorials, which will be about like 5 to 8 minutes long. And we're constantly adding we're constantly adding shorter form tutorials. So if there's a model that you're hoping to use on Victor, but there may not be a tutorial for it, definitely let us know and we can work on adding that. The other thing I will say is that we have materials for the classroom. So sample lecture slides, labs, shorter homework assignments, and also a large repository from our annual computational volcanology course. And I will show more about all of these resources on our website in just a second. Let me just take a second to talk about a few things that are in progress. So recently we've been developing a remote sensing lab assignment, and this is kind of related to what Anat was just talking about in the new remote sensing workflows that we're developing. So trying to have students take 3 distinct remote sensing techniques and being able to analyze them side by side in a lab. And this is something that we're actively testing out with students right now. So if this is interesting to you and you want to be a part of the testing process for this lab, then definitely let me know and we can make that happen. Other things that we're thinking about include adding a group folders feature to the hub. So right now, we all have access to the same shared workflows and educational materials, but we understand that it might be helpful for educators to have their own folders where they can upload materials for students and then have their students, submit homework or submit assignments into a folder as well. So that's something that we've been thinking about and working towards. And the other thing I'll say is that we're always looking to collaborate with educators on new assignments. So that can come in multiple forms. We've had a lot of educators that have models that they run in their classrooms with associated assignments. But we are able to offer them computational resources and the ability for students to access running these models just through their web browser, and having like a nice already pre-configured environment and workflow for students to use. So that way you don't have to spend class time trying to figure that out. And another thing that we've been doing in terms of collaboration would be like taking some Excel-based exercises and then transitioning those to Jupyter Hub and Python focused. So those are just like a few examples of ways that we've been collaborating with educators. And definitely we look forward to, towards the end of the session, hearing some of your ideas and talking about how we might be able to work together, just to make a larger shared repository of educational materials available to all users of our platform and to help make your own teaching easier. Okay, a few things I will mention before diving into the website itself are some additional resources. So every Friday we have office hours from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This happens over Zoom, so this is a great place. If you have questions, you can come talk to me about educational collaboration, or if you're running a model and you have a bug in the code, you can also come and talk to Sam and actually get help with the code itself. And another exciting thing I'll mention is that recently this summer, we've had some colleagues both at the CSAB International Training Program and also some colleagues that presented at the Goldschmidt conference that were using the Victor platform to run various exercises for different volcanic models. And so this has all happened in the past month or so, and we'll be able to provide resources from those workshops in addition to everything we already have shortly. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second, and I'm going to put us over to the website. What should be here? Okay. Great. Can we see the website on my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to bring your attention to the education tab on our website. First, if we go to tutorials, we can see what I was talking about. So there are some like very introductory videos and guides that show you how to get started on Victor and like some introduction to cloud computing. These are also organized here. So if you have students, like you can totally send them here, and we have broken down how to register, how to get set up, and all these things. Then we have the tool-specific tutorials. So these are the guides and videos that I was talking about for various models that are available on Victor. As I was saying, we're constantly adding to this. So yeah, it's a continuously growing repository of tutorials. I will switch here to our For Educators tab. So here's where we have our educator content broken down by subject. We have some featured content at the top, which has been used and tested out in many class settings. So if you want something that's super vetted, any of these are a great choice. But we have everything, including that featured content, broken down by subject here. So if you were looking to do an activity related to lava flows, for example, you could check here and then see that there's lecture slides and lab and procedural guides for different models. And you can explore, all that we have available for whatever specific topic you're looking to do. Okay, I will go over here to our course page. So this is the course page for our annual computational volcanology short course. This year it ran from January to May. So this is another good thing to be aware of if you are not already. It's free, it's virtual. We have a lot of really amazing guest speakers that come in that are experts in their specific field within volcanology and how to model some of those processes. And a lot of people have sent their grad students to get like a general overview of how to model volcanic processes. We have also a lot of professors and active researchers that come and take the course. And if you're interested, you can see some of our past like lecture recordings and resources from the course. They're all available here on our website. So you're welcome to take a look at that too, just as extra resources. And we have an archive from past years as well. The last thing I'll point out is our educator interest form. I mean, I think that through today's workshop, we will get to talk to you and actually understand how you're wanting to use Victor. So you don't necessarily need to fill this out, but if you have colleagues or people that are not here that may be interested in collaborating with us, this would be a great form for them to fill out. Okay, so let me stop sharing that for a second. Are there any questions so far about that material?
No.
Okay. Great. Now I'm going to switch us over to the Victor platform. So hopefully everybody has been able to access that. Definitely let us know if you're having any issues with that. I'm going to pull mine up. Okay. So I wanted to start by just going through the way that things are organized. So my home folder is going to look a little bit crazier than yours will, but we have, if you go into this shared folder, we will all be looking at the same thing. So there's a folder that houses all the models, the actual code itself. But we have this workflows folder where there are sort of like a baseline version of a workflow to run pretty much any of the models that we have available on Victor. So this can be a great starting point if you want to look at something specific. And then under our education tab, we have resources from courses that have been taught using Victor. And then these are this is our computational volcanology course that I was just talking about. So inside of here, we have slides and notebooks from those courses too, which might be worth taking a look at. The last thing that you can follow along with me with, I'm going to just give an overview of an example of a lab that we have. And then I think it will be useful to just spend the rest of the time actually talking to you all. But I wanted to just give an example of the lab, an example of educational resources that we have and what that might look like in practice. So this lab is a popular lab that we have available on Victor. It runs a Tephra2 model, modeling Tephra dispersion. This is available on our website, but it's also here within the most recent computational volcanology course folder. So with any of our labs, you will have general learning objectives, an introduction to the material and background. And in this case, the students would go through and they would pick some location points of interest. So with any of the labs, having the students build some connection to a real life example. And then in this lab, then there there would be very detailed instructions about how to access the hub and download the model, as well as steps for running the code itself. So I'll just flip over to the corresponding notebook that goes along with this lab. And I'm running through this quickly, but as you can see, there is well commented code and also very step-by-step instructions for each step. So for example, the student would start, okay, I'm entering the coordinates of my volcano. Okay, the next step is that I'm going to download the DEM associated with volcano. So like each of the steps are very laid out and it's explained at each point, what exactly are you running in the code. And you can hopefully look at this alongside with me right now. But basically by the end of running all these cells, you would end up with a tephra dispersion map, and then the student would go back into the lab and answer some questions about tephra dispersion as they found by running the model, and then doing a real life application about what that means in terms of infrastructure, and starting to get those wheels turning in terms of like hazard prediction. Okay, so yeah, I know that was a pretty quick crash course into some of our educational materials that are available, but I just wanted to give an overview and for you all to see what's possible, and start to see how the platform is laid out a bit. So I'm going to come back and stop sharing. And yeah, I think now would be a good time, unless Anna or Sam has anything else to add, we can maybe open the floor and have some discussion about how you all are thinking it may be helpful to incorporate the platform into your classroom, or if there's anything that is or is not available that would be beneficial for you to have, things like that.